How everybody doing today? Welcome to Tap In. Today I have a special guest. Great guy. Been knowing him all my life. Actually, he's my uncle, but he's a South Carolina State representative, and had to get him on today. It's a lot going on in the hometown, but I just wanted him to come on and kind of give everybody a rundown of what's going on and this whole ordeal with the Freedom of Information Act, so you guys can have a better insight of what's going on. But I'd like to welcome South Carolina State Representative John R. King. How you doing today, Representative King?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy, but I had to tap in. It's a lot going on. Of course, I know, with everything going on, I know you personally, so I know, you mean good for the people and whatnot. I don't have all the details. That's why I wanted to get it, kind of touch base with you and kind of get your point of view to see what's going on and whatnot. So can you kind of give me a background of, just kind of tell me a little bit about yourself as far as, being a public servant and how you came about doing that?
Well, I thank you for having me on today. And for those who may not know who I am, I'm John King from Chester, South Carolina, born and raised. Um, my political career started immediately after graduating from college. I went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and then went on to Gupton Jones College of Funeral Service. So after graduating, I moved back to Chester, and the first political seat that I ran for was for Chester City Council. I was the youngest at the time and probably the youngest ever elected to City Council at that time. I served on City Council, and later I ran for Chester County Council, District 6, which is a heavily African-American district. I represented there on Chester City Council and Chester County Council, and then after moving to Rock Hill, South Carolina, I ran for the South Carolina House of Representatives, where I've served for the last 17 in the South Carolina General Assembly for House District 49, which covers York County. The portion of York County that I represent is Rock Hill and the city of York.
Okay. That's a lot said. So, but you do like, so basically I'm gonna get to the meat and potatoes today. Of course, we all are, pretty much in social media, and I ended up getting a notification, and I just saw some things, particularly with News and Reporter, and I got to reading, and I got to, doing my own research, and from my understanding, you filed a Freedom of Information Act. Is that something that explain what that is first?
Well, the Freedom of Information Act request that I filed falls up under the law where public records can be requested by any citizen, even if you live in the community or if you not. If it's a public ran
Entity or something like
entity is the word I'm looking for. Their records are subject to public scrutiny, public review. And so I requested records of the city of Chester, in which I was born and raised, and which I have secured funds for. And I wanted to know how public funds in the city of Chester are being spent and utilized. We know that we heard from elected officials, especially the mayor of the city of Chester, that they had an $800,000 surplus. I'm not sure if you have that video, but you may can show it to your viewers at some point.
okay.
And so I think the citizens of Chester would love to applaud the efforts of Mayor Williams in having that surplus, but do we really know where those funds are? And why I say that is because under my Freedom of Information request, I did not publicize that to the public. What happened was the city publicized my request. That request could have been silent. It could have been at a place where they could have called me and discussed my Freedom of Information request and say, Representative King, this is a request that you have requested. We will be glad to give that to you. Will you give us more time than what the law has required us to do? And I would have worked with them on that request. Instead, they sought it feasible for them to send it out to media, let the media get involved, and now the general public is involved, and now the general public is calling for transparency, not just John King, but the general public. If you look at my social media pages, people are applauding me and now asking what is happening with city funds, that now they are wanting to say that you're intervening in their day-to-day operations. Well, the general public needs to understand that if the funds are there, if there's no improprieties in what's going on, then just release the records. Show the general public what the funds are, what they're being used for, how they've been dispersed, how credit card use has happened in the city. The people of the city of Chester needs to know how their money is being spent. I'm not saying, and I want to be very clear, I'm not saying that anyone has stolen anything. I'm not saying that in this process we will find any improprieties. I'm just saying be transparent. Let the citizens of Chester know what's going on with their money, and they have a right to do that. And let me say this, as a member of the South Carolina General Assembly, I'm a state representative. I'm not a district representative. I'm a state representative. Means that everything that I do impacts every citizen of this state, regardless if they're in my district or not. So I have a right to know what's going on in every corner of this state, every municipality, and every school district that receives state funding. I have a right to know what's going on as a state representative.
I hate to cut you off, but what I found interesting was, like I said before, I'm glad you touched on that point. For the people to know that you're not saying that somebody's taking some money, you're not placing the blame on anybody. You just want the people to know what's going on. And one thing that I found, and reason why I was the news and reporter, and you know what I mean, the Herald and everything, those editors have their own ways of wording things to fool the people. And I want you to be able to come on and speak your truth. Another thing that I saw was kind of well, the fact that as far as being on the assembly, you did some things to allocate some funds to Chester before, and you said that when I did that before, it wasn't like I was in the business. I was, basically you were helping out. You weren't in the business then, but by you, making this request or whatever, now you in business that supposedly you're supposed to be in. So I felt that
So,
was
so let me say what you so people can understand.
right.
They're saying that I'm interfering with city business. They're saying that I should not ask for this information because I don't live in Chester, not a resident of Chester. But they were applauding me and taking the money from the state that I got for them for their recreational facility, $500,000, and they didn't say I was interfering then.
Right.
So if I wasn't interfering then, why am I interfering now when I'm asking you for receipts?
Right. I get it. I totally understand it.
I think them publicizing my request has really backfired on them because now the general public is now saying, if you can't give it to this state representative who has helped you and gave you money, and now you have a problem with producing records as to how to spend it in the city of Chester is, you have now put up a red light to me that now I need to find out where those funds are. And now the general public now they are alarmed and want to know what is going on with their funds. I didn't publicize this to the general public. The city did. Now I believe it has backfired because if you look at my social media page, people are not just applauding me, but now they have questions as to where the city money is.
I know. I looked at it today, and I saw 803 Fresh with you today, and I saw 803 Fresh today. But so let me ask you this now. So to make this clear, anybody can request this.
Anybody in this whole United States, they can live in California and want to know what's going on in Chester, South Carolina. They can send a FOIA, Freedom of Information request to the city of Chester. They can send it to any state agency, any school board, any city, any municipality, any county. They can send and ask for this information.
Well, let me ask you. May not know, but I want to know this. The question: why do you think the information was leaked out?
Because they leaked it out thinking that it was going to adversely affect me. But it adversely affected them because now the citizens are questioning. They thought that they were going to be able to say John King is interfering, this, that, and the third. But then when I shed light onto what I have done, not only for the city of Chester, but what I've done for this entire county, and where I've gotten tens of millions of dollars into the county, which you can ask former Mayor Wanda Stringfellow. You can ask County Manager Brian Hester. You can ask Philip Thompson King, who's over the Chester County Sewer District, where I got money to bring lines from my district down into Chester to facilitate so that they can have growth in Chester. I allowed them to come into my district of York County and bring sewer lines from my district to bring in capacity for Chester County so that Chester County can grow. But then on the one breath, they're saying I don't care about Chester. I don't love Chester. But I'm the one who signed my name on the request with the state to ensure that those funds came to Chester from my district. It also impacted and helped my district as well because we got bigger lines in my district. But it also facilitated so that Chester can grow, so people could have Let me explain this to you. Jobs, so that they could build homes, so that people could actually have houses. And what the mayor is touting about and talking about the development of the city of Chester, behind the scenes, my funding to the sewer district, which open up capacity, opens up all of Chester to development. That's what they're not telling people.
But let me ask you this. This is the question. I'm curious. Do you think you and the mayor and can sit down and because I don't know the guy that with us.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there, Mr. Bowser. I will sit down with the mayor because I have no animosity towards the mayor. This is not about our friendship. This is about business. The mayor and I went to school together. We grew up in the same community, and I count him as not only a friend, but family. So it's not personal. And I want to make that very clear. It's not personal between me and the mayor. I still like him. I applaud him for all that he has done for the city of Chester. But I think transparency has to be a part of what he does for the people of the city of Chester. He has to talk honest about the things that I've done for the city. He can talk to the others about what I've done for the entire county to open up capacity so that they can grow, so that they can flourish like the district in which I represent and the counties that surround us. Chester, I love. And when I see Chester at a stalemate and not growing, as a state representative, I have an obligation to where I come from. I can't forget about Chester. And I don't care how much they tout about I need to stay out of Chester. Hell will freeze over before I stay out of Chester. Because Chester's going to grow as long as I'm a leader in South Carolina.
Understood. Understood. I'm glad you touched on that because, like I said, that's you see how why I asked you that because the way it was written in the news reporter. That's the only reason why I asked you that because you know, what I mean, I'm clueless. I'm trying to get answers for the people, pretty much. But I'm glad that you came on and you touched on that, and I appreciate your time. 'Cause I know you're a hard man again. You for the people. You're a public servant. And I appreciate you coming on, tapping in with me. Is there anything else that you would like the people of your district and the people of Chester County to know before we wrap things up?
Well, I think the people of Chester need to thank the people of my district for placing me in Columbia so that I can not only fight for my district, but fight for the people of Chester. My folk in my district know that I'm originally from Chester. They know that I love Chester. And even if we had a representative, if Chester was part of my district and we had a representative that represented Rock Hill, we are going to always know that they're looking out for every citizen of their district as well as where they come from. It would not be right for me to leave Chester and not support Chester because Chester made me who I am. I was first elected in Chester. They gave me the first opportunity to have a voice in this capacity. And I would never, ever in my life forget that. Had it not been for Chester, there would not be a John King who's a state representative now.
Well, I appreciate you for coming on. I appreciate you for speaking your piece. Just it's always good letting the people know what's going on. And like you said, you just want transparency. That's all. That's pretty much all it is, right?
That's all it is. I don't communicate with people in a hostile type way. I do not try to be hostile with anybody, but let me tell you this. I'm an unapologetically person when it comes to loving Chester. I don't apologize for loving Chester. I don't apologize for being Black. My issues that I fight for are grounded in my raising and being raised in Chester, South Carolina, and being raised by a mother and father who was fierce about loving who you are and loving being Black. And my constituency, who comes from every segment of society, from Black, white, Hispanic, Asians, rich, poor, middle class, educated, uneducated, whatever you want to call. I can go into any room. I can sit up under any tree with the men or women or whoever.
Right.
Because I've never forgotten where I've come from. And I will never allow a position to define me or define the love that I have for the people I serve.
I'd be glad I don't have nothing to make it clap over here. I don't have much forward because I was running real fast trying to get you because I know you're a busy man because I was made it clap for you on that one. Because I mean, I know your heart. I know your drive. You know what I mean? I just want the people to know that. I know where you stand. You've been in this arena for a while. I can go all the way back to Morehouse when you were the Chief Justice of the student body. You know what I mean? You've been doing this for a while. So I know where your heart is. I know this is what you do. This is what you wake up for. You know what I mean? You're a public servant. And like I say, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for everything that you do. Continue doing what you're doing. And, you have my support as you have other support.